Arise, minions, and welcome to unMadeGaming. We are here. We are back for another one of our monthly Patreon campaigns. This one is called Mundus Novus. And to catch you up, be advised that the first two seasons of this were taking place not on stream. We are firmly in the third season, where we are in the 1800s the 1800s vaguely in New Orleans currently. This is a French title that I can't properly pronounce, is the name of the episode, which I believe, don't quote me on this. It's pronounced something like Entre Ombre, Lumière, which means between shadow and light, in French, because we're in New Orleans. But as always, if you guys like what we do here and you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is by joining us over on Patreon. Link in the description down below. While you're down there, click on that Discord link. Join us in the Discord. Be a part of the community. Be a part of the conversation. Like always, fine folks. And with that, let's jump right in. Let me see if I can make this happen on my side. Previously on Mundus Novus, the investigators arranged their new headquarters within the church, cleaning and setting up an area to gather evidence and discuss their findings. William and Signy visit the morgue, where they met Dr. Amélie Fontenot and examined the bodies of recent murder victims, uncovering disturbing details such as a violently removed heart and ritualistic markings which were not publicly known. Alec and Martha researched the library, uncovering back issues of the Crescent Observer and a hidden note about an artifact called L'Arme de la Lune, believed to influence shape changers. We pick up... actually, where do we pick up? We left off with Alec in the library, discovering a mysterious note with an equally mysterious name attached to said note. I think we'll stay there. We'll stay here in the library where the last scene ended. So, Alec, you have just found this. What you didn't notice was a pair of eyes watching you that has since disappeared. You had left Martha to her own devices, and you had found this strange, hidden alcove in the shelves with a note, whom you believe to be from the previous Men of Letters. What are you doing?
So there was a
You're
map
muted
there.
on my side.
Thank you. Sorry about that. There was a map there as well. Is that right?
There was a vague, like hand-drawn map of the bayou.
Okay. And Alec would have remembered the symbol from before. Is that correct? Because there was a symbol in the shelf.
There was a name in the shelf.
Okay, great. Alec would take out his notebook and take note of the name, and collect the note and the map as well. And I think Martha was approaching at that point, right?
We'll say yes. For this moment, Alec, roll me learning.
I'm always happy to roll learning.
No books or bookworm is not going to help you.
Okay. 4 successes.
Holy shit. Okay. Cool. I'm just gonna give this for you. I'm gonna spell it out for you. There's no need to sugarcoat this. You write this information down in your notebook. And something about the action of writing this down feels like repetition without being repetition, which causes you to have this thought of have I written this down before? And you flip back to the beginning of your adventures, as it were, shortly after arriving in New Arkham, shortly after discovering Coven Crest Manor. You had met a woman in the asylum, and then you had a merry little adventure where you broke into her house.
No. It was legal.
You absolutely climbed through a window.
Didn't we push somebody through the window
Yeah,
over the door?
you
Yeah.
pushed someone through a window and opened the door from the inside. It was 100% illegal.
But we actually, I think we incidentally broke that window, and there was like
Yeah,
shards of glass everywhere. So
yeah,
Entrance is 9/10 of the law. Okay.
yeah.
No.
I don't think that's how the law works. And you should know, you're a private investigator. Yeah, so you recall being inside this woman's apartment and finding a secret like basement style area with shelves on it. Um, in which you saw a series of books that had been slid out, and on the shelf was marked letters. The letters were ACEHRTW. And now that you write that down a second time, they spell out the name that was inscribed in the hidden alcove in the bookshelf. T.W. Arch.
So I'm
You're
sorry, I
muted, Melissa.
apologize. Can we cut over to Winters really quick?
Yeah. Martha, you have if I memory serves me, you have just had a bout of automatic writing where you wrote strange archaic symbols that you have never seen before. And then you found I believe you asked where you could find these symbols, and you found them inside of a book about alchemy. You have the book, you have the paper that you wrote these symbols on, and I believe you were searching for Alec. So what are you doing as you comb through the shelves here?
Well, you say I've never seen these symbols before, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You don't recognize like their meaning.
Okay. I think then at that point I would go find Alec to show her the symbols and see if they have any idea what they could be, given Alec is clearly an academic.
That is true. Go ahead and actually I don't think there's any need to roll for that. You head through the alcoves. The library is large, but it's not incredibly populated right now. You weave through the libraries trying to find where Alec is. It takes you a few minutes, but you do end up finding Alec. You see that he is focusing on like his notebook, and you see that there is a strange shelf within a shelf. Like inside the bookcase, there is a press, and a shelf has come out of that. And Alec is focused on that area and seemingly oblivious to your approach.
Alec.
Oh, Martha.
Alec, look what I found these symbols down three rows down, and I get like a sixth sense that they were important. And I was just wondering if you had ever they just feel important. I think you should look at them.
Alec's eyes keep darting back to the paper or the letters that they had written down in the book themselves, and flipping back and forth between those old notes and these new ones, and then and just occasionally dart back up to Martha, like they're concerned about having been disrupted. But within a moment or two, they shake their head and they say, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You've seen some symbols and you have a feeling that they're important?
I kind of shove the paper like between her eyes and the book that she has in front of her, and I say, what are these?
Do I recognize these symbols, Mike?
You can roll me learning to see if you have ever encountered these. Um, hmm. I don't think you're not searching for clues in the library. This is more of a check on learning kind of situation.
Yep.
So I don't think any of your bonuses apply to this.
All right, so I'm gonna so there's no successes.
No successes. No, you have never seen this before. I mean, there are. Here's what I'll say. Some of the symbols look vaguely familiar, like the feminine symbol or the male symbol, yeah, the feminine symbol, which can also be like associated with the symbol for Venus, which can also be attributed to Roman and Greek gods, but that symbol's also not entirely correct. Obviously, one of those symbols is the symbol of the moon, and the moon can mean many different things, but like the significance of them, or what they have to do with anything, you're not entirely sure.
Can I interject something quickly from
Yeah.
the notes? Martha wrote down the title of the book she got it from, like the spot where she found the symbol.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
yeah, I think I wrote down the alchemical table of symbols. Yes.
Yeah, that's where
Yes.
that's what she wrote down.
Perfect. Yeah, if you have do you have the book still?
Well, did I get it out of a book or did I get it from the automatic writing?
I believe you got it from the automatic writing, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken.
Yes.
But she was
Um,
looking at a book when she started doing the automatic writing.
Yes.
Oh.
Which said like these symbols are important.
Yeah,
Um,
she was looking for books on symbology, so the librarian helped her get some, right? And then she started automatic writing, and then she got those 7 symbols, and then I just have here from the notes, she doesn't recognize the symbols, but in a book called Alchemical Table of Symbols, she can't read the words.
that's
Okay.
right. That's right. You do have the book. That's why you don't know what they mean.
Okay.
That's right.
So then I show the book to Alec and I say, look, I think these are these, see? And then and then did you say one of them was a C symbol?
Yeah, like a crescent.
Okay, like a crescent.
Mhm.
And does this look like could this be the same C symbol that's in the guy's chest or we don't know about that because we weren't there, right?
Correct. Yep.
Oh, okay, never mind. Take that back.
So does Martha have the book in her hand?
Yes.
Yes. So Martha put just the page in front of Alec, is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. With
Uh,
the symbols on it.
and still a bit distracted. Where did you find them?
Well, they're here in this book, and then I show her the book. Still not explaining why they're on a piece of paper, but just like skipping over that part.
So Alec's pretty impressed that she's taking notes. And flips the book over. Doesn't see how this has any relevance whatsoever, other than that, she has a feeling. Very good, Martha. Very good. We'll see if the librarian will let us take this book with us. And he folds the piece of paper she wrote on and tucks that away with the other notes.
Do you read the book?
Uh, well, he turned it over. Yeah, sure, he'll open it up.
Is Alec too engrossed in this new information about the tears of the moon and the strange men of letters secret code and the correlation between the letters in the home and the letters here in the library to actually give Martha the appropriate time of day?
I think Alec is very invested in trying to work this out and had just barely like connected these two things, and it seems very strange there's a connection between what's happening in this library and what they found in that woman's house. And so when Martha comes up with like random notes with random symbols she has feelings about, he doesn't want to say anything negative about that. So, um, so they flip the book over and then, tuck it away to maybe review later.
Okay. So you have so I guess that leaves the camera on Alec. So you tuck away this book and sort of, appease Martha a bit. You still have the drawer essentially open of the Hidden Men of Letters alcove. Your notebook is still open in your hand with the information you found. What are you doing?
Martha, take a look at this. Do you remember? What was it? It was a month or two ago. Remember when we visited? Oh, your friend from the hospital back
Yeah,
in Arkham.
yes. Yes.
Now, do you remember what we saw in that little nook? See here,
Do
and
I
he taps the letters.
Oh, those look like the same letters.
Yeah, just in a different order.
I think it's the same order, isn't it?
It's no the
No, 'cause
the order was ACEHRTW. And the what Alec has written was TW Arch.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, that is weird. It is the same letters. We had figured out before that that was an anagram for the Watcher, right? Like we knew that as a group.
I don't think we
I
knew
thought
that before.
so.
Did
I
we?
thought so, but other people don't think so. So
Oh,
I think all we knew was the Watcher before. I don't think we knew TW Arch at the time.
no, yeah. So I think the letters that were
letters.
carved in Lenora Flint's house, you guys anagrammed to spell the Watcher, and now you're seeing TW Arch as like a person's name, but the letters would still spell still spell Watcher.
Yeah, I think we get Watcher, not the Watcher.
Yeah, yeah.
right.
There's no THE, right? Like
Right.
there's no extra letters.
The place where you get the from is you found a note, which I believe was also in Lenora Flint's house, that simply said Coven Crest Manor, 1721, the final expedition, they are dead. I am the last one. I am the Watcher. I am the Watcher. I am the Watcher.
Right.
Right.
It's all coming back.
3 years in the making.
And it said 1721 expedition. Is that what it said? I'm sorry.
It's in 1721, the final
The
expedition,
final expedition.
Yeah.
Okay.
with no context.
I for some reason that kind of creeps me out.
Well, here, take a look at these, and she shows Martha the note and map.
Okay, so I see the note and the map. What can I glean from those, given the fact that I wouldn't be able to necessarily understand any of the words, but I could certainly understand like lines on a page that look like a map.
Yeah, so the words mean nothing to you. It's
And I am
short.
from New Orleans, and I do have a local bonus, just saying.
That's true. You have so you see the words, a short paragraph, in a looping, scrolling handwriting, means little to nothing to you. And the map, it doesn't have enough features to like pinpoint exactly where this is, but this is like the edge of the city in the bayou, like to the south.
Oh, that looks like the edge of the bayou.
Do you think we could find it there then?
Find what?
Look, well, it says right here.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think that's what they meant, when they gave you a map and then, I mean, duh.
Well, we'll show this to everyone else. I think I've also reviewed some newspaper clippings about all of these events, and I think there are some investigative reporters that I'd like to speak to. Is there anything else that you wanted to look at while we were here?
I can't think of anything. We just want to check with the librarian on the way out, make sure it's okay for us to take the book.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm okay with borrowing the, nun's habit, but snaking the book from the library. That's a no-no.
So that's real crime.
I'm sure it'll
Yeah.
be fine.
Stealing a nun's clothes. Oh, that's okay. but-
Borrowing.
Yeah. Okay. The two of you head out towards the front of the library, obviously checking in with the librarian. You I'll say this. You go to check out, and Martha, it's almost like second nature for you. You kind of like walk up and you're like, oh, I'm gonna borrow this book, right? And the librarian opens this. You see her like almost like a Rolodex. She pulls a card catalog out and sifts through. Do you give her your actual name, or do you give her was it Martha LeBlarf? Was that the
Let's see. I will say, hello. Good. What is it? The morning? I guess it's the morning, right?
Yeah, it's like it's probably the mid-afternoon around lunchtime.
Good morning, miss. I would like to check out this book. I'm new in town. I don't have an account with you yet, but I could provide you my name.
We can open an account for you. Yes. Name?
Yes. It would be Annie.
She begins writing it
Um,
down. Last name?
Yes. Williamson.
And where the address of where you're staying?
I gave her the address of the hotel because I don't think, because that's just the
Giving
first
her
one that
giving
comes
her
to
the address of a
mind.
church is the right thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
She writes down the hotel address. And you see her like pull out this handheld device, and she begins moving some gears on this thing and stamps the inside of the book and closes it and says, "It's due back in a week's time. It is all yours." She slides it across the desk to you.
I will guard it with my life.
Please do. And she puts her little card in the Rolodex and slides that away. And if there is nothing further to do with the librarian, the two of you can head out of the library. And where are you going?
I feel like originally we had said we were going to go get the nun's habit because it's laundry day and I wanted to grab one off the line, but I don't remember if we were doing something before that or
Yeah, I think we're going to the nunnery next. Did you want to both get the habit and go to the nunnery, or just get the habit?
no, I think we should just go get the habit because if we take the habit, then somebody might, happen to notice that I was happening to borrow it, and that might cause some odd conversation. So I think we should just borrow the habit, and then perhaps we can later on go to the church where I could look at some church records.
The church.
Well, there's got to be a lot of them.
Yeah, that's why. When you say the church, which one do you
church
mean?
Martha would know would have the most, the oldest and coolest records that she's going to make Alec look through. But they're going to let them in because she's going to be dressed as a nun.
Got
Right.
it. So, Martha, you're thinking that we don't go to the nunnery for the records, we go to a church for the records, but we visit the nunnery first for a habit. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, because people know nuns are nice. And so therefore, when we need to get into the records for the church, that we'll have all the interesting records that we need, then they're going to let us in.
Alec has been messing with their white gloves as they've been speaking, just fidgeting a little bit. Well, I suppose we should get to it. Lead on.
Jesus, Matt. The two of you head off into the streets of New Orleans. Sorry, that one got me. You head off into the streets of New Orleans. Alec, I will say, I don't know whether you expected it or not, like in this way. Martha doesn't just seem in her element here in the city. She is unequivocally guiding through, like, she's every turn is almost as if like a memorized pattern. And without having to like check a street sign, Martha knows exactly where she is going. And you arrive at a convent. You see a small chapel attached to the convent, but by and large, the convent is a long two-story stone building. You see that there are nuns in various style of habit. You can see that they're not called aspirants, but something like that. The nuns who have not taken their vows yet are out like folding laundry and hanging it on the line and doing like chores around the yard, as it were. You do see like a nun in full habit kind of walk out of the, there's a conversation had. They walk back in. You can see them through the large windows above. And Martha, for you, this brings back, I don't know if I'd call it nostalgia, but it brings back memories. Novitiates, that's the word. That's what they're called. Thanks, Matt. You recognize this convent for a number of reasons, primarily because you lived here for a small amount of time. How do you go about stealing this habit? Or, I'm sorry, borrowing a habit?
Well, since I happen to know that it's laundry day, then I would be looking for the clotheslines that hopefully that they've left unattended, since after they hang everything up to dry, they won't need to be just staring at the laundry because they have other better things to do. So I plan on sneaking up to the unattended clotheslines and grabbing a habit off of, like, the side.
Okay, go ahead and roll me a sneak. And while you're doing that, Alec, how do you assist in this manner?
I imagine that I don't. Is this enclosed or is it just like out in the open? Like how is this?
There's like a low stone, like maybe like a 10-12 inch stone wall and a wrought iron fence around the yard here. And then that like sinks into the building, sort of enclosing this place.
So I don't think Alec would have followed Martha into anything that is entirely enclosed where there was like four walls. They would like wait by that door. If it's a little bit more open, they would follow to the edge and then they would stand there. Well, regardless, they're standing there waiting in that way that, like, you're supposed to be acting natural, but you don't know how to act natural when you're not actually natural. And generally, like, ramrod straight back and sticking out like a sore thumb.
Okay.
I don't know, fly casual. It's one of those.
Yeah, right. I don't see a sneak roll from you.
Oh, sorry, because I was going to ask, I have this, because I'd spent this money on this elegant disguise where I can sneak with manipulation for a +2. I wanted to know if I could use that.
I assume you have been in the elegant disguise this entire time with the red wig and everything.
Yes. So can I
Yeah.
roll it with a +2? Okay. And
Yep.
then sneak is stealth, I'm assuming.
Stealth, yeah, correct.
Yes. Okay.
Is there a luck
Okay.
check here to see how wet the habit is? Let's see if it's dried.
It's determined by how bad the roll is. All right, 2 successes means
Woo!
you get a dry. Words I've never had to say before. You get a dry habit. You successfully sneak in this, and and I think for Alec, this is again like the moment where Martha came up to you and was like, "Hey, I found clues and I wrote them down and I'm bringing." You're like, "Oh shit, great, great job. And now you see her like perfectly navigate through the city, like Cyrus in the woods. And then you see her like look at a few of the novitiates. You see her look at like the nun pacing through the windows, and then like with perfectly timed stealth, she just opens the door, like opens the gate, and is like moving between the different like sheets and stuff, and then you don't see her, you just see a hand come up and a habit slip down, and then the gown slip down, and then you see a ruffle of clothing as Martha is coming back through the gate with a dried habit. Christ.
Can't believe that actually worked. I was so sure I was not gonna I was so sure I was gonna roll like just nothing. All ones.
Yeah, it's the rest of what you do with the habit that's the real challenge.
Oh my god. Okay, so anyway, so I come back with my, with my haul. Like, got it.
As soon
Let's go.
as she's there, yeah, Alex starts walking down the street, holding on to their hat. And when they get far enough along, Alec will turn to Martha and say, "Martha, my dear, you're full of surprises."
That's what Mother Agnes always used to say.
I'm sure you were a handful.
Well, now I have to figure out where to change into this habit so that we can visit the church.
Perhaps back to our church?
That'll work if that's like, I don't know where we are, if that's on the way, but if that could be on the way, I'll stop by our church.
Yeah, we'll make whatever we want on the way.
Okay.
The map is Morphus.
Okay.
So the two of you abscond with a nun's habit and begin to head back to the church near Madame Bordeaux's, or Madame Boudreaux's, sorry. William and Signy, you had mentioned about convening with your companions about the discoveries you had made with the corpses. What are you doing and where are you going?
I think when we talked, we were going to be heading back to the abandoned church. If
Okay.
I recall, right?
Perfect. That is what I thought as well. Just wanted to confirm. And Cyrus, Wyla will follow you anywhere, but you had a mission of going to the graveyard, which was rather unsuccessful for you, and also seeking out the apothecary. What are you headed to the apothecary, or are you doing one set of research and then heading back to see if anyone else has found anything?
I guess it would depend on relative to where the apothecary is. The church, like if we could just, if the apothecary is close to the cemetery, I think we'd just go to the apothecary. If it was
Okay.
like on the other side of town or something, and it was convenient, we could head back to the church, just check in to see if anybody's there, and then head back out. So I guess it would depend on kind of geographically what would make sense.
Yeah, let's say for narrative purposes, it is further away than the church is.
Right.
So fortuitously, the groups of you stagger in at different intervals. We'll say first it is William and Signy, followed by Cyrus and Wyla, and finally Martha and Alec all arrive to Église Saint-Lumière, the Church of Holy Light. You all arrive back here. It is, probably around 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sun is high in the sky and streams into the colored windows here.
Did everyone have a productive afternoon? As she's putting papers on the on their desk.
Martha proudly prefers her borrowed habit and borrowed book.
You did it, Martha.
I did. I found this book with all of these really cool symbols in it, and I also found this slip of paper, and that's why I know that these symbols are important. And I have a habit now, so I can go look at the church records.
Very good. And she's gonna take the note and she's gonna add it to their evidence here. And can I tell if the note is in the same handwriting as Martha? Because I've seen her automatic writing before.
The note, as in
The symbol.
the title of the symbols. I mean, the symbols. It's hard to tell a symbol versus a
Right.
word.
Okay. She wrote the title, so can I tell if this is all the same handwriting?
You can tell that the title is in her handwriting.
But it's also written in the same implement, like by the same pen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and she said as much. She said, I wrote this down.
Okay.
Alec tears a note out of his paper or his notebook, which includes the names of the reporters and has the one that we want to take seriously underlined. Right, there was 3. One was like kind of a hack. One was prolific, but and then the third looked like it was very well researched. And hands that to Signy and says, "I think we should talk to this individual here."
Which one?
John Paul Fontaine.
So I actually went through the list of headlines. Here, I'll pop them up for you. And I reorganized them to be sorted by name, so you can see which ones are which.
Gee, did you say it was Fontaine that was the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fontaine seems to be the most reputable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
And then Remy Dubois sounds like he's sensational a little bit. And then Lucas Grant sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, he's very editorial style.
But we found something else.
Oh.
And Alec will take out the note and map that they found on the hidden shelf. I found these along with an engraving that said, sorry, I forget the name of the person's name. R.W.
T.W. Arch.
T.W. Arch. T.W. Arch.
Okay. She looks at it. How is this?
Roll learning. I mean, unless Alec just tells you.
No, Alec is
Although,
gonna.
yeah, I was gonna say Alex seems like one. Yeah, Alex, like, figure out the mystery yourself.
Investigator.
You have no idea. It seems like an author's name, like Thomas William Arch.
Yeah, she just looks at you.
Elementary, Ms. Welker.
Is it?
Cyrus laughs.
She continues to look at you. Maybe
Watcher? Does that ring familiar to you?
Sometimes
She
I
looks
forget
at
how
it.
snarky Alec can be.
An anagram?
An anagram, indeed.
Okay.
Read the note.
She reads the note.
The note says, one of the most intriguing records details an artifact called L'Arme de la Lune, believed to influence shape changers significantly. Its last known location was rumored to be the bayous, but the artifact was thought to have been lost after a devastating hurricane in the late 18th century.
I do think that a werewolf does qualify as a shape changer.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was lost, perhaps that has led to some of this unrest.
Depends on what the influence is.
Was there a date on the letter?
No. You know that it must have been published after the late 18th century because it refers to that as if it is an event in the past.
Does this have to do with the Men of Letters?
That's what I suspect. And I wonder if we look around in the vicinity of this map, if we might find something that could lead us to the prior chapter house.
That would be fortuitous indeed. Oh, we found something. And she perks up and she turns to William.
Found a
As
couple things, actually, yeah.
So very interesting things. William, would you, as the doctor, would you like to explain?
Well, there were we weren't able to look at all the bodies. Some had ended up in the ground. Others we just weren't permitted to look at. But we did get eyes on two, including one that was very fresh. And remind me, it was like within a day or two, right?
I believe so. It
first
was the
guy,
most recent
the
body.
big dude. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The weird thing is that the two bodies had very different wounds. One had a very strong knife wound right to the center of their chest. I mean, was able to break through the rib cage. If they were aiming for the heart, it was bad because they were right in the middle. But they carved an interesting mark on her shoulder, shaped like a C, but nothing really beyond that. The other one definitely looks like an animal attack, and he's going to stress the word animal because he's not going to want to say the other thing. With enough force that they collapsed in their rib cage, and something removed their heart. It was just gone from the body.
Surprise!
Tore out, not cut, tore out. None of this stuff has been made public either, so this has been kept. Basically, it hasn't gone beyond the coroner's office. This would be the sixth, I think, body that the coroner said that she had seen come through.
All the animal attacks are missing their heart.
But not all of the bodies are animal attacks. I think it was it like half and half?
Well, there's six animal attacks and then 5 stabbing attacks.
Yeah.
And the
almost half and half.
stabbing attacks all have the C symbol. Does it look like this C symbol? And she points to the crescent thing that she found.
It looks exactly like that.
It looks exactly like that. And she's like, yes, it looks exactly like that. And of course, we don't have any pictures or anything like that, but
Where
It's a crescent moon symbol.
Where
Martha
did you
shoots
find-
Alec, and I told you so. Look,
where did you find this symbol?
it was in a book. See this book.
can I try seeing if I could figure out what those symbols are?
I mean, yeah, you don't have to try. You open up the book, and there is like almost like a periodic table of symbols. The crescent symbol is the alchemical symbol for silver.
Silver.
The other symbols, in fact, Cyrus, you sort of like look over as you were asking where did you find these symbols. You recognize 4 of them immediately from let's say past dealings. The triangle pointing up is the alchemical symbol for fire. The triangle pointing down is the alchemical symbol for water. The triangle pointing up with the slash through it is the alchemical symbol for air. And the triangle pointing down with the slash through it is the alchemical symbol for earth. The other symbol you see, which is kind of like the female symbol, but with like horns on top of it and an S. That symbol is for Mercury, but the symbol directly next to it with the S on top of it is for spirit Mercury. And Cyrus, you see that in the book, and you've heard the term spirit Mercury before, and you know it has to do something with witchcraft. That is the context for which you have.
These are all of the elemental symbols. Fire, earth, air, water. Those are pretty common.
You were
This
just at the graveyard, right? Did you see any of the symbols there?
No, there was we we did see the protection symbols there, Wyla and I. But we didn't find much else. We did talk to the gravedigger, and he did point us to where some of the victims here have been buried. So I think perhaps later tonight, we could make a visit, and I can try to commune with one of their spirits, and maybe we can get some answers. But for that, due to there being so much spiritual activity there at the graveyard, I think I'm gonna need help. Signy, your sight and the visions you've been having, I think I'll need your help trying to find the right people there. But we can talk more about that later. In the meantime, back to these symbols. This combination, Spirit Mercury. I've heard that before. I'm not super familiar with what it is, but I have heard it, and in relation to witchcraft in general. And so these are just between the Mercury and the Spirit Mercury. This is still a combination of witchcraft and, well, we'll call them shapeshifters for now. I don't want to upset our friend here. All
She looks around as in, what friend?
Cyrus is clearly looking at William and goes,
Yeah, and William, of course, is glaring at Cyrus. So
it is just, all right, never mind. There are two groups here, one of which is witches, and one of which is something else.
Okay, and Signy points to the circle, triangle, square, circle one. And this is in the book?
It
as
is
well?
in the book.
Okay.
It is listed as the very first element in the top left, and it is the elemental symbol for quintessence, or the alchemical symbol for quintessence.
I can't remember if we've done this yet, Mike. Have we looked in the book of Libro de Invisibilia, the Vaesen book, to see any information on shapeshifters and witches?
Let's see here. So here's the thing. Actually, you know what? Yeah, so you have this book on you at all times. You find that it is distinctly void of anything relating to the topic of witches. And you have, actually, roll me straight up empathy.
I'm also interested in, like, if there's any mention of silver in there, but I will roll straight up empathy. Do we have a roll for empathy?
Yeah, all the way at the top right of your character sheet should be the little cube next to empathy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's one of the base stats, not the skills.
No, I have no empathy.
Weird that there isn't a mention of witches in here. You'd think that would be the first article listed. You have no idea why there wouldn't be. On the other hand, you do see a list for werewolf. All it has is a previous run-in by Carl Linnaeus, someone who has written several pieces in this book. Yeah, whether that helps you or not. It says, Officer Koch of the county police met us on the other side of Lake something I can't pronounce, before we had even climbed out of the boat. He came up to us through the thick fog, asking if we had seen a man dressed in wolf pelts with blood all over his body. Some stranger had run amok, slaughtering a maid and ripping out her heart. We knew nothing and told him so. He asked that we keep our eyes open. That night, we heard the howls of wolves echoing through the woods and across the lake.
So we said that the chapter was disappeared in the late 1700s. That's
This
what I wrote.
chapter.
This chapter, the neurons chapter. Okay, thank you.
So she's like, quintessence. So that's like life, right? Like it comprises all these things, right? Like earth, air, fire, water. Isn't that?
What did you say? Where did you see quintessence signy?
It's what
It's the
this.
triangle with the square and the circle, or the
Yeah.
circle with the triangle and square.
Oh, I thought those were earth, water, air, and fire.
It's yeah. There's those separately, 4 separate, and then there's one symbol that has. It's like a circle with a triangle with a square and a circle.
I
It's
thought
all
there
one
were only
symbol.
6 symbols.
7. There's 7.
There's 7.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Hmm. Martha, and she is like she's like leaning her hands on the table, and she looks up at Martha. What context did you find these?
In the book.
Well, yes, but how did you know what made you think that these particular symbols were important?
Well, she had a feeling.
Yes, thank you, Alec. That's what I said. I had a feeling.
She has intuition.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can I roll something to see if I can figure out, seeing if there's a way that I can connect these symbols to the murders or anything like that? Like specifically what they mean, like earth, air, fire, water, quintessence, this the witchcraft one, so it was, sorry, was spirit mercury, and then
Yep.
then the symbol for silver.
Hmm.
And why was the symbol for silver carved on one of the stabbing victims?
Yeah, roll me.
And maybe Alec can help. Alec, is there
Not going to be
anything?
learning.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, Alec, is there anything in the Libra there about these symbols, or at least the what they mean? Earth,
Well,
air,
listen,
fire,
I
water.
carry with me a large number of reference books, and we have the Libra, and we have this new alchemical book. Maybe I can do some cross-referencing and find something.
Roll me observation, and I'll give you a bonus die for Alec helping you.
Does Cyrus have any recollection or details about Spirit Mercury where he could help direct as well? Like, is it something that like is it a concept, or is it like something that somebody manufactures, or
roll me
like a
learning.
potion?
Roll me learning, Cyrus.
Okay, God damn it. We need a flip. Let me roll the observation, and Alec can roll. Okay. All right. I'll do learning and fail. Just give me a second.
Actually, you know what? Before you hit that roll button,
Uh-huh.
let me open this up here. You should get some witchy bullshit for your stuff here.
All right. There it is.
I will say, you know what? I will give you, yeah, because of who you are, I will give you a bonus of +1 for this.
Okay. So learning +1.
Yeah.
Got it.
Can Alec help?
You can only help one person at a time.
Okay.
And this would be like him recalling information.
Yeah.
Okay. One success. That is all you need.
Oh, wow.
You
That's a luck roll.
You dig back in memory, right? Like it's been a long time since you've been doing this job, and you did this job for a while. There is a practice. I believe it is called like the prima trio, which is the philosophical principle of the elements mercury, sulfur, and salt form the three connections between mind, body, and spirit. This is, in essence, spirit mercury. So it's not something you make. It's not a potion. It is a theoretical, magical science. You also know that quintessence is, much like Signy had sort of sussed out a little bit, is the fifth element. Earth, fire, wind, water, and soul is quintessence. And then Captain Planet comes out. And not heart. And quintessence and spirit mercury have a not the same, but also not too dissimilar component in ritualistic witchcraft.
Okay.
This could be like expulsion of soul, binding of soul, reanimation of soul. Those are all the things that come to your mind as like the baddest things, which would obviously stick out the most to Cyrus.
Okay, so I will. I won't. I won't regurgitate all that. But I will relay the key ideas there of what I can remember, and then over to Alec and say, as you're looking, these are the concepts that kind of put together, and just say. So the key, I think maybe the key triggers you can look for are, combining the spirit and the natural together, and binding around the soul. So maybe as you're cross-referencing, you can use that as a guide.
I will say with that, Signy, I will allow you to roll one extra dice for your observation check.
I was wondering mechanically what that meant.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Unfortunately, this is far too in Cyrus's wheelhouse than it is in either Alex or Signy's. This is not what an erudite would study. This is not real academia. And for Signy, this is outside of the realm of typical PI shit. This is you are outside of your element.
But
That was
luckily,
fascinating, though, Cyrus. That was fascinating. Perhaps
Yeah.
this evening you can walk me through that in more detail. I'd love to take notes.
All right, we should do that.
And Signy's just kind of looking down thoughtfully, and luckily G has a like slightly idea listening to Cyrus go on about that. And she kind of cocks her head. What if they were sacrifices? And she
Crosses herself.
yeah, sorry, Martha. She taps the pages like where the animal victims are, and then the stabbing victims. What if something needed their life force? And she's looking at Cyrus as he was mentioning like the power of the soul and stuff like that. And
So you're
said,
saying they're not the victims of some battle between these two groups. Instead, they are intentionally selected
yeah,
sacrifices.
possible. I don't know. That's just listening to what Cyrus was saying. That's the first thing that popped into my mind. It's like, what if assuming these are witches and these are werewolves,
They are that.
what if the spiritual power that came with these two groups is what's needed for something?
It does seem odd that after so much time, the truce would just fall apart and these two groups would be having at each other.
True.
But
So
but-
we
and
could
so if there could be there could be something else behind both sides, playing both sides against one another. That
Mhm.
is a possibility.
We need
Yeah.
to
Mr.
find connections
Boudreaux.
within. We need to find connections within these organizations and speak to them directly.
Well, that's why I was recommending that we have a talk with a spirit or two.
So I still think Mrs. Boudreaux is very suspicious. You know, any spinster lady who lives by herself with a dead priest husband, very suspicious. And
Live
all
and
those
let live,
wards,
A spinster
of those-
sounds a bit harsh there, Marcia.
all of those wards, very, very unchristian, just very, very suspicious. I think you need to talk to Mr. Boudreaux, find out what's up with her.
Talking to Mr. Boudreaux may not be a bad idea.
I mean, he's been dead for over 10 years.
Oh,
Well,
As
That's why
As-
Cyrus can talk
that
to
doesn't-
him. I thought that's what we were just talking about.
Well, I
That
know,
doesn't
but-
mean I can't do it.
as
That's
as
not
the
what
the
I'm saying.
as the idea is floated, perhaps you should speak to Mr. Boudreaux. Cyrus, go ahead and make me a straight up empathy roll. If you do not pass this check, you will be frightened.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Die.
Oh no, I closed it. Dang it. I don't want to be frightened. Not in this game. Oh. Empathy. All right. Go for it.
Okay. You may check the mental condition frightened.
Damn it.
Cyrus, this place hasn't been the most homely of homes to you. Since you arrived here, you have indicated to Signy when she checked on you that this place, given to what it is and given to the small graveyard outside, that this place is quite loud in
Yeah.
your experience. And when the mention of speaking to the deceased pastor here comes up, things get louder to the point where it is almost impossible for you not to have some sort of physical reaction. And as you do, a small, probably like a foot by 2 foot, chalkboard that was mounted to the wall with like ornate filigree border falls and smashes into the ground face down, giving everyone a start. But Cyrus, it's enough to like cause everyone to jump and not pay attention to you jumping. You know that didn't just happen.
Good lord. Martha, I thought you said you secured that.
I thought I
That
thought I
wasn't
did.
Martha. There's the mention of Mr. Boudreaux has been heard. I don't know what that means, but there are definitely those in this church that heard that and reacted. And are still reacting pretty loudly.
Signy
Well,
will
this
go
is
over
his
and she'll
home.
pick it up.
I'm gonna step outside for a time. I'll be back. I need some air. And Cyrus will turn and head towards the door.
Alec
You
will
step
follow
outside.
Cyrus.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. The two of you head outside. Signy, you said you were picking up this chalkboard.
You're just gonna lean it against the wall.
You pick this up and you note something on it. And whether it was there before or not, you're not entirely sure. It's a piece of, at this point, wall art that no one really paid much mind to. But there in chalk, in a thick layer of dust that has now been banged off because it has fallen off the shelf here, you see 25:2.
Does Martha recognize that as like a Bible verse?
Martha, you absolutely do. Proverbs 25:2.
Do I know what that is, or do I need to find the
Oh.
Bible?
You tell me. Do you think Martha would have Proverbs memorized?
I mean, it's
Certain ones for
probably.
sure.
Yeah.
Ones about like discipline and women's places in the world,
Yeah.
you know, probably get memorized to the girls.
I mean, I think there's a good likelihood she did
Okay.
a lot of Bible study.
This is not one of those. This one is a strange proverb to have in a church. Usually there's not a big story to tell about this one. Proverbs 25:2 states, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter. To search out a matter is the glory of kings." Rare do priests talk about concealing or hiding truths.
Huh. Well, when I see the 25-2, I, without really thinking about it, just kind of repeat the proverb, as if it was just kind of rote memory, because somebody probably had been, drilling me on these things for a long time. So now whoever else is in the room would hear me say it. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings is to search out a matter.
Is that what that is?
Oh yeah, you don't. She looks at Sydney strangely. Yes, it's Proverbs 25:2.
She will lean in against the wall. Not one that I'm familiar with. And she will come back to the table.
There are plenty of old Bibles around.
Mm-hmm.
While Signy, William, and Martha have a thought about that, the camera cuts outside to Alec and Cyrus. Cyrus, you needed some air, and Alec seems to figure you need some air with some company. So the two of you are secluded and standing outside the door, but outside enough of earshot.
Is all well?
This damnable church is
Full of voices?
yes. It's just so many souls. This town in general, so much pain and death in the past. That by itself I can kind of quiet and filter, but there's a lot. There's more associated with this church than I'm used to dealing with at any one time, and it's just a lot. And the mention of the pastor seems to have just made things that much louder. I just needed to get out. So I'll be all right. I just need a bit of time.
The hotel was of newer construction, I think. Was it quieter?
Oh, the hotel was wonderful, particularly the bath.
Well, perhaps we could rent a room there as our headquarters rather than use the church.
I mean, the church has some value, but well, let me try to get through a night here, and we'll see how it goes.
Oh, are we
But
staying over at the church?
or are we just using it? Well,
If you feel that it would be valuable to stay, but those baths were pretty nice.
we're pretty nice, yeah. I think the hotel rooms are probably better for overnight. I agree with you. No.
It'll at least give you an opportunity to step away.
How are you doing with all of this? You seem to have been quite successful in the library, it seems. So well done.
Strange. It seems like an odd coincidence, don't you think? Watcher?
It's not the first time we've seen that.
Is it? It must be the previous presence of the men of letters in this city. I wonder if there's hidden caches like that in every location that once housed a headquarters.
This organization does seem to have been very secretive and more elaborate, for example, compared to, say, the group that I worked with. This is more of an organization. Mine was more of a group. So it's new to me as well, but it does seem like they're quite organized. And I I would suspect that, yeah, any other place we could find one of these houses, I would bet that we'd find evidence of them in many places.
Do you think we should, head to where this map leads us? Or do you think it's a waste of our time while we're here? It seems to be slightly related, but that too would seem to be too much of a coincidence.
Well, so far it's really feels like everything's related. It's
Mm.
that kind of mesh. But uh I think we have a few more things to check out. I definitely think there's an opportunity uh to maybe try to follow the map and see what we find. We can find the old Men of Letters headquarters. That would be valuable insight, and whatever this device that affects the shapeshifters, it's hard to know if that's where it is or that's where it was,
Mm.
because it's possible someone else found it and that is part of what's causing all the trouble. Or
And it would have been exposed to natural elements, I'm sure.
that would depend on how it was hidden, but sure.
Well, it
But
looks to be in the middle of the swamp somewhere.
well, digging in the swamp is going to be challenging to find anything, but we've found challenging things before.
And how was Wyla on your trip?
Oh, while it was trying to learn. So
Mm.
yeah,
I worry
I don't
about her a
know.
bit.
I do too. It's a lot. It's a lot all at once for somebody, and losing her mother, and the circumstances by which that happened. It's a trauma we have all been through, which is why we can see what we can see. But I would not wish it on anyone else. So it's
Martha Martha did a surprisingly good job.
well, the fact that she came back with her habits is was quite impressive. So perhaps those trips that Wyla and I have been having with Martha around the grounds have been paying off. A little bit of stealth here and there. So,
I think so. Not only that, the visit to the library, she was very well behaved. She took notes.
wow. And it appears that you were rubbing off on her as well.
Perhaps.
Well, let's just hope that our influence is for the better.
Let's hope that Martha's influence over Wyla is for the better.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I think we cut back in right there. William, Martha, and Signy, what have you been doing as this conversation plays out of earshot outside? Martha has just sort of read out or from memory what the Proverbs 25:2 are. You have stacked that, you've leaned that chalkboard against the wall, Signy, but it's kind of dead air in here. What have the three of you been doing?
Like she would have returned to the table, dusting her hands off from touching the chalkboard. And she looks back at the notes. My theory's just that. It's purely speculation. And then she'll nod to Martha, call it an intuition feeling. But
William?
What
nothing that
Okay,
we can prove
sorry.
at this time.
what is your theory?
That the victims are some kind of sacrifice. That
Oh, that
the
one.
war, well, who told us that it was a war?
No one.
Yeah. So
Cyrus.
that's also that we kind of that's something that we
It was
kind of
another
picked
theory.
up. Yeah.
Wait, no, didn't we get something about the old chapter of the Men of Letters? There was a war between the war wolves and the witches, and the
Yep.
Men of Letters had something to do with the truce coming up.
Yep.
So we
No,
knew
but
that there
that
had been something in the past.
But we had
Correct.
already been thinking that before we heard about the men of letters brokering a truce.
Mm.
Like it was like we were under the impression that it was a tit for tat murder going
That's true.
on. So yeah.
William, what have you been doing?
Well, he'll actually chime in when they start talking about that they look like ritual killings, and really, I'll say, just the second body looks more typical of a ritual killing. The stab to the center of the chest, serious weighted blunt force trauma to get through the rib cage, the carved symbols. The other one just looks like pure mutilation. It was an animal attack, and he'll fall back a little bit into his stutter, which always comes up when his brain starts reminiscing the past. I have I don't see anything connecting to witches here yet, but there's definitely some sort of animal, and he'll clench his fists when he says that, involved in at least one of these.
As you ponder what could be, someone speaks up in the church who has been silent. Oh, oh, oh! I found a clue. I think this is a clue. I think I did it.
Okay.
And Wyla is holding in one hand a large Bible, and in the other hand a torn piece of paper. For Martha, at first glance, it looks like she tore a page out of the Bible. As she holds this up, and she is as surprised as she sounds. And I'll say, as the conversation outside turns to hopefully it's a good influence. In that moment of silence is when you hear through the door, "Oh, I think I did it." And a clue has been found by Wyla, who rolled a 2 on her investigation check. She's standing there holding this piece of paper, in shock.
Well,
Alec pat Cyrus on the shoulder and said, "I'm heading in."
Well, Wyla, go ahead.
Thank you.
Wyla,
I'll
you
follow.
did not tear that piece out of the Bible, did you?
Oh, no, it was loose. It was
Oh,
already
you
in
just
there
about
like
gave
that.
me a heart attack.
Oh,
Well, what
yeah.
does it say?
It says August 14th, 18 something. The burden of guardianship weighs heavily on me this night. For years, I've toiled to uncover the mysteries of the ley lines, the sacred symbols, and the power that flows beneath Église Saint-Lumière. Knowledge, I've learned, is both a blessing and a curse. Tonight, under the cloak of darkness, I took action to ensure the safety of this knowledge. The archives filled with my research, observations, and revelations about the symbols and their connection to the ley lines are no more. With heavy heart, I consigned them to the flames. As the pages turned to ash, I felt a part of me perish alongside them. But this sacrifice is necessary. The secrets contained within those pages are too potent, too dangerous in the hands of those who might misuse them. The church, this sacred nexus of power, must be protected at all costs. I've taken precautions to scatter a few hidden clues within the church itself, veiled hints that only the most worthy and discerning may one day discover. I pray that if this knowledge is meant to be found, it will be by those who seek to protect the balance as I have. Let this entry stand as a testament to my resolve. I walk this path alone, safeguarding the light against the encroaching shadows. May those who follow understand the gravity of this choice. The true power of Église Saint-Lumière must remain a closely guarded secret, shielded from the eyes of the world. I think it's a diary page.
Did you find that in 25 too?
Yeah,
Like, on that page?
You said it, and I looked it up just to see if you you were correct.
Well,
Good job.
it says
Wyla.
yeah, awesome. You said the church has clues?
That's what the paper says.
Well, I immediately start looking for clues. And is there anything specifically, is there anything around the church that has to do with kings? Like crowns
Um,
or anything that would connect?
uh, roll me, let me see here. For Martha, roll me, I want to say observation.
Okay. Observation.
When you start looking for symbols and like thinking about the proverb, something occurs to you like it's less literal and more like about the hiding. That was that proverb was a clue that means something is hidden. You kind of come to realize that because that piece of paper was found on the proverb page, that perhaps there are more hidden things.
That
Okay.
was one of the hiding spots.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll keep looking around while other people do things.
Alec and Cyrus, have you returned or do you return? I know Alec, you said you were headed back in.
Yeah, I
Alec
said yeah.
Alec returns and holds out their hand to Wyla. May I see the Bible?
She hands it to you.
And Alec is going to flip through, see if there's any further markings or any additional pages that might be tucked away.
There are no additional pages. However, there are dozens upon dozens of markings in this book. None of them seem consequential. Your best guess is this Bible, larger than the rest, was probably the pastor's book. This was probably Gerard Boudreau's personal. This is what he gave his sermon out of, so it has like his notes in this book.
And where did you find this, Wyla?
Oh, it was Martha had stacked up a lot of the books, and it was just on there.
Just in
It
that
it
pile.
it was the biggest one, so I picked it up.
Thank you.
Well, very well done, Wyla. Very well done.
Thanks.
So now we ask ourselves, if a pastor wishes to hide something that he doesn't want to be found by anyone unworthy, where would he put it? How would his mind go thinking about who is worthy and where would a worthy person want to look?
Well, this looks like a diary page, like a journal. It's dated like you would date a journal.
So where's the rest of the journal?
I don't know.
Oh. Then we look.
Was there I'm sorry, I don't know all the names of all the things. Rectory, is that the name of where the
Yeah.
priest lives?
Yep, there is a rectory.
Can we go take another look at the rectory?
Yeah. You know what the rectory is before it has like simple like a coat rack, an armoire, a desk, and a chair, and a single bed in there. You had previously been in here, but no one investigated this area. So go ahead and roll me investigations if you so choose.
Were we all tromping that way, or was that just
Anyone can.
Okay?
None for me, but fortunately our investigators in the room.
Signy and William and Cyrus. Hot damn. You know what? For narrative fun, Alec, you walk in here confident in this is where you'd put a journal, right? This is obviously where it would be. And you take a cursory look around. Everything in here looks like it had been not like cleaned, but like there are no sheets on the bed. There's a small candlestick on the writing desk. The chair's pushed in. Everything looks like at one point in time this room had been gone through and is now covered in dust. And you see nothing that would indicate any shelves or where you'd put a book. And even under the pillow, no book. in case you want to sleep with a book.
There's
And
nothing here
so-
whatsoever.
And so as you turn to leave, almost over your shoulder, William, Cyrus, and Signy, all within relatively the same time frame, look down where a book would never be. And you see a small leather-bound book is holding up one side of the armoire. One of the legs is shorter than the rest. Sacrilege to to Alec. You would never think to look underneath the leg of a table for a book, but sure enough, there is one there.
Signy will lean down and she kind of walks past Alec. Oh, excuse me. And she will bend at the waist down and then grab and then lift slightly and then slide the book out. And
If she moves it, was the armoire going to fall over? Is it that unbalanced?
No, it just tips to the side and forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause
yeah,
we could
it's-
swap it if there's another book.
It's probably about an inch shorter on one leg, so it tips forward. And if there was stuff in it, for sure, it would tip over. But since it's empty, it just sort of like clunks to the side a little bit. You open this simple leather-bound journal, like wrapped in a leather cord, and you open this up. It has the similar enough handwriting to the note that Wyla had found. Let me take a sip here. Hold on.
I think she passes the book to Wyla. She can
Okay.
she can make the first look and then share. With the
Wyla opens this up, and here you go, everybody. And begins reading from the last few pages of this diary.
Oh, I didn't read all that.
Yeah, that's why I took a sip. It says March 8th. Today, while tending to the routine cleaning of our cherished Église Saint-Lumière, I stumbled upon something quite extraordinary. Hidden beneath years of grime and candle soot on the altar, I uncovered etchings, symbols whose origin and meaning were foreign to me. Their design suggested at antiquity that predates this church by centuries, perhaps more. My curiosity is piqued. I must delve into this church's archives for answers. June 17th. My research into the symbols has led me down paths I never expected to tread. I've pored over ancient texts and consulted with scholars of the arcane, only to find these symbols are linked to the primal energies of the earth. Ley lines, as some call them. New Orleans, it seems, is a nexus of these invisible forces, and our church stands at their convergence. The implications of this discovery are both thrilling and daunting. September 23rd. The more I uncover, the more I am convinced these symbols serve as a conduit for the ley line's powers. I've begun experimenting with minor rituals, ones that draw upon the ambient energies. The results have been subtle but undeniable. The air within the church vibrates with a latent power on certain nights, especially when the moon is full. I believe these symbols could be the key to understanding and perhaps even harnessing the ley line's full potential. January 11th. Eureka! After months of painstaking research and countless dead ends, I've made a breakthrough. The symbols are not merely decorative. They are part of a larger, more complex ritualistic language. When arranged in specific sequences, they can amplify the ley line's energy, channeling it for various purposes. The potential here is immense, but so are the dangers. Such power must be wielded with the utmost caution and respect. February 28th. With great power comes great responsibility. I've come to realize that my role here is not merely that of a priest, but a guardian of this sacred knowledge. I've taken steps to conceal the true nature of the symbols from prying eyes. I've begun drafting a series of protective measures to ensure the church and the power it houses remain safeguarded. This knowledge is a gift, but it could easily become a curse if it falls into the wrong hands. May 15th. Today marks the anniversary of my stewardship over Église Saint-Lumière. The weight of this sacred place, nestled atop the confluence of ley lines, grows heavier with each passing year. I've begun to uncover the true purpose of the symbols etched upon our altar, ancient sigils that predate this church, perhaps even this city. They speak of a balance, a harmony between the forces that course beneath our feet. I feel a deep responsibility to protect this knowledge. October 3rd. A curious occurrence tonight during Vespers. The air thrummed with an unseen energy, and the stained glass cast an otherworldly glow. I'm convinced more than ever that the symbols are not merely decorative, but serve as the key to the ley line's power. I must tread carefully. Such power could easily become a beacon for those with less noble intentions. December 21st. The longest night brought with it revelations. In a dream, I saw the church as it might have been eons ago, a druidic circle, alive with the light of the stars, the earth's pulse strong and clear. The symbols on the altar shone like beacons, aligning with the celestial dance above. I awoke with a start. The dream's vividness lingered. These symbols, they are a map, a guide to channeling the ley line's energy, but to what end? April 14th. Today, an unsettling visit from a stranger cloaked in the guise of a scholar. His interest in the symbols was palpable. His intentions unclear. I refused him access to the church's records, but I fear my refusal may not be the end of it. The church's power, its sacred trust, must be safeguarded. I find myself looking over my shoulder more often, wary of shadows that linger too long. June 29th. I have taken measures to ensure the symbol's secret remain protected, a series of wards and enchantments drawn from the very energies that the symbols command. Now guard this holy place. Yet I sense my time here wanes. The church will need a new guardian, one strong of will and pure of heart to keep the darkness at bay. To whoever reads this in times to come, know that Église Saint-Lumière is more than stone and mortar. It is a beacon of light in a world that often forgets the power that lies just beneath the surface. And that is the last entry.
That would explain a lot.
This last entry is on June 29th, and the torn page was on August 14th.
Why would he put X's on all the dates? That's an awfully strange thing to do.
Oh, no, that's me. That's me.
Can we not read them?
No,
No, we're just supposed to be in an ambiguous time period.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Oh, okay.
non-specific 18th century. That is entirely narrative. It's not
Okay.
an actual.
So
In
there
comparison-
Okay.
So
there
the
are
dates that he
dates
has in
there.
there, though, what are they? Now, is this last year? Was this?
Right.
No,
yeah,
he's
that's-
been dead for some time.
So this
I-
would have been written right next to the time of his death, or
This would be right before the time of his death.
Mm.
okay.
And the Église
It's-
Saint-Lumière is this an object or is this a location?
This is the church.
That's the church's
The name
name.
of the church, right?
Ah, the name of the church.
Yeah.
Are
Oh.
there symbols on the altar?
There are.
Is there a place where there's records in this church?
If you are to believe the hidden diary passage, there were.
My
But
question
he
is
said
to the group.
He burned them all.
But there would have been a place where they were kept, correct?
She points an archive. is what
So
he
we need to
writes here.
find where this room might have been.
Just to clarify, Madame Boudreau said that he died 10 years ago.
There you go.
So this is
So this would
probably
be
a little
10,
over
10 years. Yeah, a little over 10 years.
Wyla and Martha, Wyla, you said that you were checking to see if Martha was right about the about a proverb, I believe. Where did you get where did we get the proverb?
He
The
points to the chalkboard.
chalkboard that fell down, it was written on it.
The chalkboard that fell when I got up and left.
Yes.
I don't think it was
Ah.
written there before, but I can't be certain.
I think we have a friend in the pastor. I think he's helping us. He led us here.
Are you
Well,
certain?
And Cyrus just kind of looks up and says, "Thank you, Pastor Boudreau."
Well, Alec, you were asking where the archive was. Didn't somebody earlier say that the board sounded hollow? Or did we figure that out already? Did I thought
No.
somebody said that they were walking across some of the floorboards earlier and they sounded hollow. Did somebody say that? No, they didn't say that? Or
I
no, we
think
didn't
I think
follow up with
I
it?
think William checked. Oh, sorry. I think Cyrus checked for a it was either Cyrus or William was checking the foundation to see if there were any buried animal remains to not encounter a Grim again here. And there is, because there's a water line, a high water line here in New Orleans, there is a bit of foundation, but if anything, it is a literal like crawl space. There's maybe a foot of room underneath the church that is stone and like air.
Okay.
What is the walls made out of? Are they wooden panels or is that stone?
It's a wooden church.
All right, so then Alec is going to walk the church and tap the wood panels with his walking stick.
Okay. Roll me an investigation.
Does anyone want to help me do this? I don't always have the best ear for these things.
Martha will go
Sure, William too would help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll help.
I've got
follow Alec around.
has good investigation.
I've only succeeded in one roll tonight.
So what are we rolling? Investigation.
Investigation.
Alec has 1 success. William has 2. Martha has 1.
I'm
Hell
gonna
yeah.
push. I'm gonna push. Well, does it really matter? No. Doesn't matter.
You can push if you'd like.
Well, yeah, but if I'm just gonna, everyone else
Unless-
succeeded, so.
If you could get bigger than a 2, it might help. I don't know. But don't
I leave
push.
it up to
Don't
you.
push. Don't push. Yeah. Don't get sick.
You manage your own
Okay.
player resources,
Fry
and
your
I will
brain.
tell you what happens. You all, I assume you're all doing what Alex said, right? And like tapping on the wall and trying to find hollow spots, as it were.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Well,
definitely would help.
I'm also listening to the floor because I don't exactly want to do exactly what Alex said, but she did
That's
say
fair.
she needed help. So I'm like sort of doing what Alex said.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
I think Signy will just be, she's still leaning over the table now that we have all these journal notes. And she's reading and rereading and like looking at, trying to cross-reference and stuff like that. See if something jumps out at her.
Okay. So Alec, you are knocking on the wall. Martha is on the floor as
Clomping.
close to like knocking and clomping on the floor and like listening to hear any sounds in there.
I think in between things, Alex going, shh, I can't hear. And then Martha's going, I can't hear.
And then I feel like William, coming from a science and doctoral sort of mindset, takes things in a more analytical kind of way. And if Alec has the walls covered and Martha has the floors covered, and Cyrus has whatever spiritual mumbo jumbo covered, and Signy's on the books, where is left for William? And you head over to the altar, William. And with the 2 dice needed to succeed on this check, you begin looking over the altar and you see all of the appropriate things you would expect to see adorning a Southern Catholic church. And then you see strange symbols that you don't recognize. They are not the same symbols that are on Martha's drawing, but your best guess is these are the symbols that Gerard Boudreau was speaking of in his diary. And you see that they are carved into notches, like almost like ornamental notches. Like it looks like the coil of a rope, essentially, is carved around the top of the altar. And you see that there are symbols carved into each one of these. And as you kind of see this, you realize that they can be pressed almost like keys on a piano. And as you like dust these off, you hear a click.
Well, that's interesting.
The click comes from within the altar, and it comes from below where your hand just was.
Well, I'm gonna look down and see if something opened or if
Yeah.
there's like a line, like indicating a hidden drawer or something.
You glance down, and right about, like, if you were standing, right about knee level, you see that the altar has a small break, like it pushes in as if someone like tripped and like knocked their knee into it. Except there are no like fragmented, like broken wood lines. This is a clean square. It has tipped inward.
Like, wait, like
Like
pushed
like
inward or
here's
like
here's
tipped?
the it has tipped inside the altar.
Okay, so just like we'll push down on the top part of it, like it's a like a flap.
You push down on this, and inside is a small, um, ornate box. The small latch on it.
He'll pull the box out and then call over to Alec.
You pull the box out. It is made of like red wood, whether it's it's like stained. The same symbols that you saw on the altar adorn this, carved by a different hand. And you see it is bound in twine and wrapped in a page, a piece of paper from perhaps a diary.
The box is wrapped in the page.
Mhm.
Okay,
And then wrapped in twine, kind of keeping them together.
we'll
So
start
Alec
unwrapping
at
it.
first, when William calls Alec over, Alec at first is a little bit annoyed because they keep trying to hear and they can't because people keep making noise. But notices that he's holding something in his hand and so wanders over.
You see the box, the paper, the twine?
Well, open it.
Yeah, it'll have already started untying it and pulling the paper off and tearing it apart.
Do you read the paper
Don't
or do you
tear the
just open
paper.
this box?
We'll glance at the paper to see what's on it, but
Okay.
Bigby will hold
It
her
looks
hand out for the paper.
it looks to be a diary page.
okay, we'll read it.
Alrighty. September 12th.
Jesus.
This is not after the last entry. This is somewhere in the middle of this entry of his diary. In my continued stewardship of Église Saint-Lumière and my explorations into the mysteries that lie beneath its sacred ground, I have come upon an object of profound significance, the aetherscope. This device, seemingly ancient and imbued with energies not of this mundane realm, was concealed within a hidden alcove beneath the altar. Its existence known only to those who have delved as deep into the church's secrets as I have. The aetherscope is a marvel of craftsmanship, a circular instrument encased in silver and etched with symbols that resonate with old power. At its heart lies a golden needle that moves with a purpose guided by forces beyond our understanding. I have come to learn this device serves as a conduit to the ley lines upon which our church now fortuitously stands, offering insight and guidance to those who know how to commune with it. To use the aetherscope, one must first attune oneself to the energies that flow through the ley lines. This requires a moment of quiet reflection and an open heart. With a clear question in mind, the user must then carefully adjust the dials, aligning the symbols in a manner that represents the essence of their inquiry. It is an art as much as it is a science, for the symbols speak in a language older than words, conveying concepts and connections that transcend mere speech. Once the query is set, the aetherscope's needle springs to life, dancing across the symbols in a display that is both mesmerizing and enigmatic. The answer it provides are not direct, but are instead conveyed through the relationships between the symbols it points to, requiring interpretation through the lens of intuition and knowledge of the ancient ways. I have used the aetherscope on several occasions, seeking guidance on matters both trivial and of grave importance. Each time I am left in awe of its power and the depth of understanding it offers. Yet I am also acutely aware of the responsibility that comes with wielding such an instrument. The aetherscope is not a toy, nor is it a tool to be used lightly. It is a sacred relic, a key to the mysteries that bind this world to the next, and it must be treated with the utmost respect and care. In my efforts to protect the knowledge and power that Église Saint-Lumière harbors, I have decided to keep the existence of the aetherscope a closely guarded secret. It is my hope that when the time comes for another to take up the mantle of guardian, they will find this record and use the aetherscope wisely for the betterment of all. May the light guide us always. Alec, you read this. William, you open the box, and you see a remarkable palm-sized circular compass, etched with runic symbols. Its face is set with a complex array of concentric dials, each inscribed with intricate symbols that resonate with ancient energy. The outmost dial is adorned with symbols representing various elements of the natural and supernatural world, and a singular golden needle oscillates gently in the center, guided by unforeseen forces or unseen forces.
Well, we asked for more witchy bullshit.
Well,
This
it looks
item,
like
this is an item. You may keep it. You may bring it with you on adventures. This item will provide you a +2 bonus to all checks involving the investigation of supernatural phenomena, lore, or the casting of rituals aligned with the ley lines. If you can interpret it.
this looks like something that would interest Cyrus.
It's an interesting conundrum because it is referencing both science and occult, essentially, and a
That
mix
is true.
of the two. It's like
It
William
is
is like
also very
William
very
is pure science, so he's gonna hand it to Alec.
s- you're right, William. This is also a scientific instrument. Cyrus, take a look at this.
All right, one moment. And Cyrus will, as he's just continuing to kind of tap walls, he stops, walks over. What have you found there?
Uh,
Oh, look at you. So he kind of puts his hand out gently. May I?
Yes, please. And Alec will hand the diary page over to Signy.
Yeah, Cyrus will take it and just kind of inspect and look at the different symbols. Are the symbols anything that he recognizes?
Kind of. Roll me a let's see. It's either observation or let me see here. Observation. Yeah, observation. And I believe you have some bonuses to that, Cyrus.
Only if I use my my crystal ball.
Okay. So yeah, just roll me observation then.
But I do ignore conditions. So that's good.
Would you like to push?
Kind of.
Go for it. Check a mental condition and push.
I know I already have one. Yeah, I'm gonna go for it. So, I don't like failing observation rolls. There you go. I got one.
One success.
And then I guess I'll take hopeless. I'll take hopeless.
Great. That's perfect. You look down at this. It's perfect for a number of reasons, Cyrus.
Yeah.
I'm picking on you today.
Yeah,
You look down at this, and the symbols they're not specifically like magical in nature. They're not ritualistic in nature. They're esoteric symbols that are up to interpretation, right? You look at them and you can kind of identify some of them, but it's more of a feeling than it is actual learning and understanding. It's not like if you saw this symbol here and that same symbol in another place, like a book or something, they might not say the same thing. It's kind of you're guided by intuition of what each symbol means.
very
And as
tarot card-esque kind of
very exactly, very tarot card-esque, right? So you're looking this thing over and sort of like flipping it in your hand and trying to look at all the symbols. And in order to see all of the symbols, you have to move some of the mechanisms and dials, as some of the other symbols are covered. And as you begin to move these pieces around, that push comes in so handy. As you begin to move some of these around, you see that the golden needle that is sort of wobbling or oscillating in the center there begins to tick like a metronome. except it's not evenly ticking back and forth like a metronome would. It is spinning almost like dialing a rotary phone, right? It goes a certain distance, it comes back to another thing, and you realize that it is pointing to different symbols. And because you rolled a successful observation, and because you are who you are, you take a minute to observe these symbols. And again, they are esoteric and don't translate exactly. You see a symbol that you feel represents crushing depth. You feel a symbol, not a cave, guys. It's not a cave. You feel a symbol that you feel represents burning desire. You feel a symbol that means that you feel represents like a severance or a breakage or a separation through force of some kind. And you feel a symbol that represents death.
Okay, Cyrus is just repeating those terms, just almost unconsciously as the things are spinning and it's doing it. He's just kind of saying them out loud, so that way anybody who's around could be hearing those. Can be hearing kind of what you're saying.
Signy writes down what he says.
Signy,
Yeah.
so glad you're paying attention. Go ahead and make a roll for me. I would like an observation from you.
Okay, let's see if I can actually succeed in a roll today.
If you do not succeed this roll, you will take the condition frightened.
Great. Just seeing if I have anything I can add to it, which I do not.
Perfect. You take the condition frightened. You are listening to Cyrus as he espouses these feelings he's attributing to the points of the needle: crushing depth, severance by force, burning passion, and death. And it is death that you look up at Cyrus for whatever reason, and you become frightened. The cloud that hangs around Cyrus is darker.
Great. Yeah. Is that me seeing what I was supposed to see? Or
Yep.
can I push that?
You saw it. The roll was whether you became frightened or not.
I see. Okay.
So you hear death and you look up and you see a much darker cloud around Cyrus. Like mayflies circling.
Okay.
I think you would all see me look up and there's a little bit of a ghostly white.
Yeah, she like
pallor.
stares at him for a little longer and she's kind of gone pale. And she's like, and because she's like leaning over the table, she's kind of like leaning down. So she's just like looking and then very serious. And she doesn't say anything.
Cyrus is still looking down at the aetherscope.
Aetherscope.
Aetherscope. He's still looking down, and he just kind of lets out this long sigh, and just again, kind of almost like absentmindedly, unconsciously, just says, "Nexus of ley lines. Devices like these, we may be in over our depth here."
There were
Yeah.
lines on that map, Alec, weren't there?
Signy slides the paper over, it's like, shh, and she runs her fingers over the lines.
You think those could be the same lines the same ley lines?
Mike, the lines that are on the map, do they look like latitude, longitude lines, or do they look like something else?
They do not look like they are straight like latitude and longitude, but they are not parallel or perpendicular to each other.
Well, they're not
Is there a-
latitude and longitude.
Is there a directional notification on the map? Like this
No.
is north, south. Okay.
No, it's very much like it's not a map that was meant to lead someone somewhere. It was more of a map that was meant to remember something. So like the person who made the map knew
Mm-hmm.
where the map meant to. It wasn't a guide.
Okay.
Are there certain areas where there's multiple lines crossing?
The map shows 2 lines crossing.
Oh, it's just 2 lines.
Mhm.
Okay,
Is
where
there
do they
any
cross?
symbology around those lines at all?
There is not. Again, this seems like a map that someone knew what they were doing when they made it, not as a guide. The lines, so it's like an outline of shoreline is kind of what it looks like, is what you see, and you see 2 lines converge towards like the top right corner of the map. But nothing is drawn there. There's nothing there that would indicate like a farm is here. It just shows like a coastline and those 2 lines intersecting.
Um, Mike, before we came out here, Alec went to the library and did a lot of pre-research around the local area, including looking at maps and atlases, etc.
Mhm.
Would he remember like this shape of this coast?
Yeah, roll me. Is that one of your what the hell's it called?
Advantages.
Yeah, is that one of your advantages?
All I have for advantage written down is wealth of knowledge +2 as applicable.
Yeah, that's the one. So go ahead and roll me a learning with your wealth of knowledge advantage. Also, don't forget you guys have advantages. 3 successes. You feel as though, with some degree of confidence, you can at a minimum identify where this coastline is. What troubles you is there's no indication of distance on this. There's no there's no spatial reality here. So like you could probably compare this to a map and find a close enough coastline to where you think this could be, but where that convergence is, if that's like an X that marks the spot, as it were, you have no idea how far that is from the coastline. So you'd kind of be not exactly wandering blind, but wandering near blind. But you'd be able to know where the coastline is at a minimum.
Could we, do we believe that, I mean, would Alec have brought a map with among their collection of
I'll say
books?
yeah. Well, I'll say sure. Why not? And if not, it's easily procurable.
Okay. So, he'll pull that out of their satchel and set the map next to this new map.
Yeah,
Is there
you identify the coastline.
is there any way to do proportions like from the map that Alec has where there's, like maybe 2 identifiable objects and we know what the distance is, and then we can
Yeah, he said we
cross-reference.
found it, so
Yeah, you can find the coastline, but you have no idea like what. There's nothing to indicate distances. There's no other markings on the map.
Right, but sorry, go on.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
No, but like, is there like on the map on the professional, map from the cartographer that Alec has, are there
Mhm.
like 2, like, I don't know, like a lighthouse and a cove or something that we can, measure the distance there and then transpose onto the other map?
No, you look at this thing and you can identify the coastline because it's so jagged. This is marshland. There is nothing indicated as civilization out here on the cartographer's map.
but we could roughly know where it is, though.
Yes, yeah, you can know where you are. Like you can find that area of the map. You think it is somewhere west of Delacroix, between Lake Leary and Grand Lake, which is southeast of New Orleans.
I knew it. We're gonna end up in a swamp.
Hey, you guys wanted to go to New Orleans. I didn't put you here.
Well, they come for the party and the beads and the whatever those donut things are.
Yeah.
Beignets.
And yeah,
Beignets.
Does Martha know anything about that particular area southeast of New Orleans?
Yeah, you know to avoid it. It is where vagrants go. It is uninhabitable, especially by people of class. There are bugs, lots of them, alligators, and yeah, like essentially there are swamp people out there. It is where it is unregulated area, so anyone can set up a camp there, and most people stay away from it.
so when you say vagrant, based on our last mystery, you mean werewolf moonshiners.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
Just clarifying.
Yeah, they're the southern branch of the werewolf moonshine business.
Werewolf moonshining business.
Martha turns to Wyla and says, that area right there, that is not for young ladies.
Oh, I don't know anything about it.
It's got all sorts of alligators and bugs and people of ill repute. Nobody of any class goes there.
Oh,
And Martha's very proud of herself having said something important to Wyla.
All right. Then I guess do we go now or do we go
Do
tomorrow?
we go now or do we live later?
Well, the day is growing long, I think. So perhaps not today, but maybe the graveyard.
Could
Well,
always use a good seance to clear my head.
maybe we can find where Mr. Boudreau is buried. Or those 3 chapter people. The ones that we
Maybe-
learned about the other day.
Maybe don't
Broussard,
mention
Mercier,
Mr.
and
Boudreau.
Duvalier. Well, Mr. Boudreau's only trying to help us. That's what Cyrus says. No more chalkboards falling off the walls.
nope, nothing happens yet. In fact, Mr. Cyrus, it's quiet.
Oh, okay.
The quietest it's ever been for you in this church.
He's still holding on to the aether scope.
He is.
Hmm.
I think as you prepare to head out for the St. Louis graveyard, for a seance, I think that's a good spot for end this session.
Oh, okay.
It's a good close, and next time we'll pick up at the graveyard, find out what else you can gather here. Yeah, that was I needed water. I needed a glass of water.
Mike, did you
Fantastic.
write all those entries?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus
well,
Yeah.
Christ, dude.
Yeah, I went on a
Amazing.
spree. I went on a like I think I told you guys like the last episode that I wrote a bunch of stuff. So I wrote all of that. Oh yeah, I can also show you guys this. Hold on. Edit all players here. You can see this is the Aether Scope. You can see that. I don't actually have a picture of the Aether Scope. I'm not that cool. I also wrote like a bunch of the like news stuff. I wrote some like character lore. I went on a huge like I had one of those ADHD moments where it's like, hey, you want to know everything about New Orleans? Let's go ahead and deep dive. So I generated like 5 or 6 characters. I gave them all backstories. What was her name? Emily Fontenot. She's got like a whole thing. Basically all of the major NPCs have a like description, what they do in the society, and then like what they know and what they might tell you, kind of section. And I also figured out what's happening with Cyrus. I have firmly decided what is happening with Cyrus, which is very cool.
It's very cool, but probably bad for Cyrus.
Yeah. Well, John, you wrote it, so
I know.
so that'll be fun. But I think that is it for this episode. If you want to know more about Cyrus's problems and everyone else's thoughts, you can join us over on Patreon for the after show of this show. In the comments down, not the comments down below, in the description down below, you'll find a link to Patreon for all that fun stuff. But for now, let's do our introductions and get the hell out of here. We will start with Cyrus. We'll start with Cyrus. John, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What are you up to?
I am John. I am Ask Why on Discord, and that's where you can find me. Don't do too much beyond that, other than work and waste a lot of time watching other people play games and do other fun things. So
it's a good use of time. G, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet, and what are you up to?
Hello, I'm your friendly neighborhood lightning invoker. G, you can find me in the Discord all the time. You can find me in all the Patreon games, which is next weekend for the one-shots, and another episode of Mundus Novus next Sunday. Special 2 episodes this month. You'll also find me in The Rise, which is the 3rd Saturday of the month, and Atari Twilight Age of Always, which we still have to schedule the next session. And I'll be modding in all the shows during the week as well.
Hell yeah. Matt, same questions. Who are you? Where can we find you, and what are you up to?
Well, you can find me on Bon on the Discord, BON. Outside of these TTRPG games that we're in, I'm usually hanging on World of Warcraft, rebuilding our raid team. So anybody who plays, who wants to mythic raid, you can ping me. Otherwise, that's pretty much the extent of my online presence.
And we got to see your awesome chair when you stood up, so we can only assume that you're on the right side of Warcraft playing the Horde. So
I ride both sides of the fence, but yeah, mainly Horde.
Says the guy with a Horde tattoo. Wintress, same questions for you. Where can we find you? What are you up to?
Yes. I am Wintress Odom. I am up to working most of the time. This other than this game, I play another D&D game with you guys on Friday. You can find me at Wintress Rita on Discord, and I don't know. That's it. I have nothing interesting to say.
Perfect. And last but not least, Melissa, who are you? Where can we find you? What are you up to? And thank you for running production on this show.
You're welcome. Well, y'all, if you can find me, it's usually with the handle Draftier online. I play in a number of the games that G just mentioned. So Atari Twilight, Age of Always, which we haven't scheduled yet. This game, and occasionally some of the one-shots. Beyond that, I love to do art of the games that I play in. So you can find that on gameswithstories.com.
Hell yeah. And that's it for us. Again, if you want to see the after show for this show and many others, go check us out over on Patreon and make sure to join us in the Discord to be a part of the community and be a part of the conversation. But that's it for us. We'll see you guys next time. From all of us to you. Bye.